Hi everyone. Okay, today it's stretchy stretch day. So I have no shoes on. By all means you can be in bare feet, by all means you can have shoes, whatever you're comfortable with. You do, or it's preferable if you had something comfy, cushy underneath you. We will be down on the floor at some point. I have a hockey stick. You can use a golf club, you can use a towel, you can use a sweater, whatever you have nearby. I would like something you can grab onto with both hands, and we need a doorway. So a couple things we need today: situate yourself or just listen to my voice as you disappear around your home to do certain exercises and stretches. Okay, so enough of me talking, let's get started. Feet are gonna be apart just slightly, and we're gonna come down, and I want you to grab your toes. Now, if that means you need to bend a lot to get there, whatever works, I want you to grab your toes so you're standing almost on your fingers. From here, nice and gentle as we are just warming up, I want you to sit your bum and then try and straighten out those legs, chest towards thighs. So, through our movements today and through our stretching today, I just want you to think of breathing. So you're going to inhale and exhale at any points that you feel comfortable doing those throughout these ranges of motion. But I do want that inhale and exhale to happen. So here, I'm sitting, I'm using my hands, and then as I lift my hips towards the ceiling, I'm bringing chest towards thighs, using my hands to pull my chest a little bit closer to thighs, and then I sit back down into it. Just trying to get a little warmed up before we get into some of our static holds and static stretching. We're going to do a whole bunch of kinds of stretching today. So some movement right now. Last one, again, we'll sit and then hips towards ceiling, chest towards thighs. All right, so on this one, we're going to walk. Come up nice and slow. Might be a little lightheaded on this. Okay, so our next one, we're gonna go feet apart, and you're gonna come down all the way. I'll pivot just so you can see me into what I'll call a frog position. Okay, so your heels might be off the ground. You might be able to have your heels down, and knees are going out, shoulders away from ears. Fingers are going to be on the mat or floor, whatever you have in front of you. Now we're going to walk ourselves forward. So we're going to think of, always thinking, this might not happen yet, you might be up on your toes, you're going to think of shifting weight, heel, roll through onto your toe, and then we'll bring that other foot forward, heel, roll onto toe. So whatever this might look like for you at this time, that's what it is. There's always things. Good. And then we'll pivot or whatever space you have. Maybe you keep walking. Maybe you disappear and you can't see me, but you just keep listening. So right now it is what it is. You have the range of motion that you have, and that's why we're working on it, right? So these are slow and controlled. Through any of our patterns today, I want you to feel like you're doing something, but not to the point of ouch. At no time, I'm pivoting. If you've disappeared off the screen, keep walking. Heel, toe, knee out. You should always be able to have that full inhale and full exhale through any of these. Pain is going to make the muscle tighten up and completely defeat the purpose of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to lengthen. We're trying to open up joints, get our muscles a little bit longer. Good. Most importantly, we're trying to prevent injury and pain. Heel, toe. So we do not want to force ourselves into any of these positions. Do what we can. Maybe you can't do as many reps as I'm doing here, and that's fine too. Sit yourself on your bum. And this is our last little bit, and we'll regroup and meet together. Whew. Make sure we're breathing. Okay, really good. Next one, we need a doorway. So I love this one. We're gonna open up through that hamstrings now. And you can pull the mat over if you need to. I'm gonna leave mine there. I don't mind laying on the floor. So what I would like is one leg is going through the doorway. Your other butt cheek is going to get in line with the door frame. From here, excuse me while I move my mic, from here, we're gonna lay all the way down, head and shoulders nice and relaxed, and you're going to bring that foot up onto the doorway. Okay, so toes pointed towards you, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, butt cheek, all in line with that door frame. I want both hips resting on the ground. So both hips, both butt cheeks should be on the floor. From here, if you can, we start sliding in closer to the door frame. So at any of these positions, I want that leg straight. So I do not want to bend in that knee, and we want to keep those hips level. So leg is straight, and that might mean different things to everybody. My leg through the door frame is also straight, resting on the ground. All right, so shoulders are relaxed, hips are locked into the ground, leg is straight, toes towards you, and leg through the door frame is also nice and straight. Now, this is where we shift, and you find that comfort position where we can allow the back of that leg to relax. I know we're still on that same leg. Hang out here. Really important to stretch out that whole backside. Couple more seconds in this position. Make sure we're breathing that full inhale, that full exhale, and slowly release that leg. I am going to stretch that leg out again. You can move to the opposite side of the door frame, or if it's easier to go out of the door and do it that way. But let's switch legs, okay? So again, you get your butt cheek lined up with that door frame for me. We come in to that laying position and start a little bit further away. Right, let's slowly crawl that leg up the door frame, and then we'll do our little spot check. Heel in line with knee, in line with hip, in line with shoulder, in line with the door frame. Our other leg is resting on the ground through the door frame. Toes pulled up towards you. We want to get that whole backside of that leg, and then you can start shifting with your position. Each side is going to be different, so possibly the other side we had more range of motion on. We could get our butt cheek closer to the door frame. Maybe on this one we need to be further away in order to be able to relax that leg. Right? So play with your range, and even once you're here for a few seconds, you might be able to shimmy yourself a little bit closer to the wall. Pay attention to how it feels on the back of that leg. Make sure we have that full inhale, full exhale. That leg on the door frame is nice and straight. We're trying to avoid that bend in that knee, right? We're fighting for a straight leg, flat back, hips flat, relaxed. Couple more seconds here, and then we're gonna stand back up. Perfect, so nice, easy on that down. Okay, so we're gonna meet in standing, because now we're gonna grab our tool or toy or whatever you possibly have. Again, it might be a towel, it might be a sweater. I'm going to use a hockey stick if you're a golfer, tennis, badminton. Grab your tool of choice. Now, I'll pivot just a little bit here. We're going to have one arm behind us, so you need to be able to find that, and that's sometimes where the towel becomes, makes this a little bit easier. And then that top arm is going to grab on as well. So if I pivot and you see my back, I have one hand down at the bottom by my hips and one hand up and behind my spine by my head. So I'm gonna crawl that bottom arm up as far as it will go. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my top arm to pull slightly into that stretch. Okay, so if you have a towel coming back to face you and this top arm does not want to go up in that position, use the towel here, anchor it over your shoulder, and you can do that gentle pull down with the towel to provide you that stretch. Still hanging out. Now again, once we've relaxed into this for a few seconds, you can pull yourself a little bit higher while keeping shoulders back. I'm really focused on staying open through the shoulder. I'm not rounding forward here. I'm staying open and I'm staying tall, and I'm only going as far as that shoulder wants me to go. Big breath in and a nice big breath out. Okay, nice and easy. Release that shoulder for me. We've got to switch sides. Now, you will see the difference, especially here on this arm as opposed to my other. And it's something I work on, but as I said previously, one side tends to be sometimes tighter than the other. Okay, so if I pivot, I've crawled that poor little bottom arm up as high as it can go, and then I'm going to use this top hand to pull just slightly into a stretch. Now, that's as far as I can get on this side before it becomes too much, and I cannot take my full inhale and my full exhale. So we're hanging out here. If at any point it gets too much, release slightly. But if you feel like you can get a little bit further, use that top hand to pull you up into that stretch just a tiny little bit more, while again trying to maintain that open shoulder. Right? And we're breathing. This is a really intense stretch for some people, so be gentle, be very careful with this one, and do not force this pattern at all. All right, really slow release, let that go. We can get rid of or place our tool, toy, prop, wherever. Okay, coming back onto the floor, we're coming into a hip flexor stretch. So trying to open up the front of that body. So we're gonna come one knee on the mat. Again, if you need to, you can roll your mat up a few times, or if you have a towel or a pillow, you can place that under that back knee. That front foot is coming forward, and we're going to slowly drop into a hip flexor stretch. My feet are staggered, so I'm not in a nice straight line. I'd like a little stagger. This knee is in line with this heel. Okay, and we're gonna try and let that back hip drop down, and we're going to, you can gently place hands on knees and try and push open just slightly. You'll feel a deeper stretch through the front of this back hip. Back foot's nice and relaxed. Shoulders away from ears. Knee in line with heel. Everything pointed straight forward, so my shoulders are forward. Both hips are forward. We're really trying to avoid rotation here. And we only pull those shoulders back if flexibility in this hip allows. Big breath in. Big breath out. Okay, we're gonna bring those hands down on the floor on the inside of that foot. So both hands are on the inside of that foot, and you're going to slowly walk that foot open just slightly. Then from here, if flexibility allows, so you can hang out here, happy to hang out here, stay here. If flexibility allows, we're gonna try and come down onto those elbows. Okay, so you're hanging out. I'm pivoting just so you can see what it looks like from the front. So I'm staggered. I walked this front foot out slightly, and I'm thinking of those elbows coming down towards the floor on the inside of that foot. Knee is in line with my heel, and we're just gonna hang out. And we're going to breathe, and our fingers are relaxed. Another thing is we want to try and keep everything else relaxed while we're stretching. So if we're stretching out, you don't want to tighten up your fingers or tense up through your shoulders or your face or your toes. Really try and relax everything into this. All right, nice, easy up. Enough of me chatting, and we will switch sides. So nice and easy, come out of that. And we will get that other foot forward. I'm going to stay facing you, but by all means, again, stay on that mat, right? So if we need to, we switch pillows or towels, or get that knee onto that comfy mat. And we're going to come up, knee in line with heel. We're going to drop that back hip down. Hands can be on that front thigh. Feet and knee are staggered for balance. And then if your flexibility allows, we can do a little bit of assistance with these hands and push shoulders back. So I'm pushing my shoulders away from you, very, very light push. Shoulders away from ears, increases stretch through this back hip. And I breathe. So as long as we can breathe, full inhale and full exhale in each of these positions, you're doing amazing. Stretching tends to be one of those things that we eliminate from our daily routines. Okay, nice, easy out of that. We can place our hands down on the floor and we're going to slowly open up. So I'm going to walk that foot to the side just a tiny little bit now. This might be enough for you and I am super cool with that. And we're also paying attention to one side might feel different than the other. If we can, this hip is tighter, same as my shoulder, and I bring my elbows, or I try to, bring my elbows down to the ground. I'm fighting to keep my knee in line with my heel, both elbows down, and I breathe. Much easier for me to get into this position on the other side. Again, something I'm working on. So flexibility tends to be one of the pieces of the puzzle that we tend to brush aside. You know, I'll get 5 more minutes into my workout, or I only have 5 minutes left. I'll just do, a couple more reps or a couple more sets of this exercise. And it's a piece of the puzzle that is so very important in any health and wellness routine. All right, nice, easy, up. Okay, we've got 2 left. So come on out of that. Another very big hip opener, 90-90. If you've ever done anything with me before, I love this one. Okay, so 90-90 means come on and sit on your bum. We have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. I will show you from both angles. Doesn't matter which leg. 90-90, heel in line with our knee, knee in line with hip. My back knee is in line with my back hip, my back knee in line with my back heel. So you'll have a 90-degree angle at that back leg and a 90-degree angle at that front. Some of you, this might be enough. We may have to have our hand down on the floor and this is enough of a stretch. Others, we might be able to sit up tall. And then others, depending on flexibility, we're going to start dropping both shoulders towards our front leg. So chest out, flat, flat back, eyes up. I want us to slowly start walking and dropping our chest towards the floor, and we walk our hands out. Keeping both shoulders equal distance to the floor and keeping that flat, flat back. So we're gonna inhale and exhale here. I will pivot just to show you that flat back component. So I get into my 90-90, stick out my bum, I stick out my chest, and I hinge forward from my hips, pushing my hips back, tilting pelvis slightly, really focusing on that chest out, eyes up, and I sit into this. Now, one of the reasons this is my favorite stretch is it's going to pick up on wherever is tightest through our core below our hips, all the way up to our rib cage. So it might be stretching that front hip. You may be feeling a stretch in the groin on either side. You may feel a stretch in your back. It might be very tight through hamstring. And this might feel different from one day to the next. Now, as I sit into this, if you have eyes up towards me, I just dropped probably another maybe inch. As I'm sitting into it, my body's relaxing and I'm getting further into the stretch. Good, nice, easy out. That I am not forcing. My body's naturally relaxing into it as I sit and breathe. All right, so let's shake that out. That's a big hip stretch. Okay. We flip to that other side. Again, each side is different. Heel in line with knee, knee in line with hip. Back knee in line with back hip, back knee in line with back heel. If we are here, we fight to stay in this position, tall, chest out, eyes up. If we can get hand off, we stay here. And then the next phase is we start trying to bring chest towards floor. You can use both hands are on the ground, and we can use those fingers to walk ourselves forward. Both shoulders equal distance to the floor, rolling through pelvis, sticking hips backwards, breathing, shoulder relaxed, eyes up, and we hang out. Stretching is, I'll go back to where I was a while ago. Stretching is one of those pieces of the puzzle that prevent injury, prevent and help with pain, beyond important. And besides all of that stuff, it just feels good after. So as much as we kind of think of it as an extra, something extra we do, it really should be an important piece of the puzzle for you. Good, nice, easy out. Slowly walk back. Okay, frog stretch. Now, all of those things I just said, no pain, nothing like that. This one, unfortunately, or at least I've always found, and I've been doing this stretch forever, is really just a little bit uncomfortable. And not in a terrible, awful way, but I sit in it and I go, ugh, just a tiny little bit. So if you have a little bit of that, ugh, I'm okay with it on this one. Not ouch, that things are ripping apart, don't do that. If it's too much on knees, don't worry about it. You can pause the video right here. Thank you for stretching with me, and ignore this one completely. Or actually, I should say, I'll give you another option. So frog, we're gonna start walking those knees out. Now, knees and hips are starting in a straight line. Knees and heels are in a straight line. You may be here, and that's fantastic. So wherever we need to be on this, that's great. If you can start walking those knees out a little bit more as you sit into it, wonderful. If you can get down onto elbows, great. Hang out in frog. If that is not an option for you, sit in this wonderful seated position right here for me. Okay, so if you are in frog, knees are in line with our hips. Knees and heels are straight line. We're on our hands or we are on our elbows, and we're sitting into this stretch. Now, stay with me. Breathe and start to push your bum back towards your heels, just ever so slightly, and then roll forward ever so slightly. Okay, I'm going to pivot just so you can see my small little movement. Stick with me on this and breathe. Okay, so my hips are rolling back and down just slightly towards my heels, and then my hips roll forward slightly, and I'm breathing and I'm relaxing. Okay, groin muscles, there's a few of them, and they have different insertion points. So we're just trying to warm that up and target each and every little piece of that. If the rock is way too much, beyond ouch, cannot breathe, please don't do the roll or the rock and hang out. If it's getting too much to sit in this, definitely come up a little bit higher, take a breather, find yourself on your bum, feet together, knees out. So we're gonna hang out for a few more seconds in this one because people tend to be very tight, and it is one of those stretches that we just let gravity take hold. Try to relax your shoulders, right? We're not tensing anything else up. Fingers are relaxed, toes relaxed, shoulders relaxed. Big breath in, big breath out. Now, depending on how low you are, the way I want us to get out of this is we're going to roll ourselves forward onto our belly, sweep those legs back together, and then come up and find yourself in a nice seated position. Okay, so I hope you feel loosey-goosey, all limber. Again, remember to breathe. That was amazing and wonderful. I really appreciate you joining and stretching out with me today. So have a really good day, and I'll see you soon.